You receive the transmission at 2:47 a.m. The blue glow of your screen casting unfamiliar shadows across what you still recognize as your face. The message arrives without sender identification, routed through encrypted channels that bypass conventional communication networks. The timestamp indicates origin from a facility in Saclay, France. Though secondary routing suggests the actual source has been deliberately obscured through multiple relay points across 17 different countries. The documentation describes bacteriophage modified type 7 with clinical precision that suggests first-hand observation rather than theoretical speculation. Laboratory notes indicate the organism was initially developed as a medical treatment for severe facial scarring, designed to selectively dissolve damaged tissue while preserving underlying structures. The mutation that transformed it into something far more indiscriminate appears to have been accidental, though certain passages in the intercepted communications suggest otherwise. You scroll through surveillance footage from Berlin, time-stamped 72 hours prior to your current moment. The subjects appear normal in initial frames, engaged in routine activities across various locations throughout the city, frame by frame. However, their facial features begin to blur, as if viewed through increasingly thick glass. By hour 48, their faces have become smooth, featureless expanses of skin. They continue their daily routines with disturbing normalcy, navigating their environment with apparent ease despite the absence of eyes, nose, or mouth. The selection criteria remain partially encrypted, but available data suggests proximity to previous cases serves as the primary vector for identification. Subjects in Madrid began experiencing symptoms exactly 72 hours after the Berlin manifestations concluded. Lisbon followed the same temporal pattern relative to Madrid. The geographical progression moves consistently eastward, following population centers of specific demographic concentrations that the documentation refuses to specify. Your location places you directly in the projected path of this progression. The estimated time until exposure has decreased from the initial 67 hours to 59 hours and 33 minutes since you began reading. The countdown appears to update in real time, suggesting active monitoring of your current position and environmental conditions. Clinical observations from previous cases describe the initial symptoms with uncomfortable specificity. Subjects report a tingling sensation beginning along the jawline, progressing upward across the cheeks toward the orbital regions. This is followed by what researchers term proprioceptive displacement, where individuals lose awareness of their facial boundaries. They reach to touch features that no longer exist, their hands encountering smooth skin where complex topography once defined their identity. The psychological impact proves as devastating as the physical transformation. Subjects retain complete cognitive function and memory of their former appearance, yet mirrors reflect only blank surfaces where faces should be. Security footage shows them standing before reflective surfaces for extended periods, their hands moving in patterns that suggest they're tracing features they can feel but cannot see. The bacterial agent demonstrates remarkable specificity in its targeting mechanisms. Hair follicles, ear structures, and neck tissue remain completely unaffected. The dissolution appears to follow precise anatomical boundaries, creating an effect that resembles professional surgical removal rather than random tissue destruction. This precision suggests deliberate engineering rather than natural mutation. Environmental sampling from affected areas reveals atmospheric concentrations of the organism decrease rapidly after initial release, implying either a limited lifespan outside host tissue or active containment measures. Wind pattern analysis indicates the release points were carefully selected to maximize population exposure while minimizing cross-contamination between designated target zones. The most disturbing aspect of the documentation involves mirror-related acceleration of symptoms. Subjects who avoid reflective surfaces experience the standard 72-hour progression timeline. However, those who view their transforming faces in mirrors show exponential increases in dissolution rates. The organism appears to respond to neural pathways activated by self-recognition. using the brain's own facial processing centers to enhance its destructive efficiency. You find yourself unconsciously avoiding the bathroom mirror as you read. The black screen of your television reflects only vague shapes, which provide some comfort. Yet you notice your peripheral vision catching movement in reflective surfaces throughout your home, shadows that seem to shift when you're not looking directly at them. The technical specifications describe containment protocols that appear designed more for observation than prevention. Isolation procedures focus on maintaining clear documentation of the transformation process rather than halting its progress. Research priorities emphasize data collection over subject welfare, suggesting the phenomenon serves purposes beyond its apparent function as a weapon. Communication logs between research facilities reveal discussion of consciousness preservation experiments and identity dissolution thresholds. These phrases appear repeatedly in context that implies the facial erasure represents only the initial phase of a more comprehensive transformation process. Subjects retain full cognitive function and memory throughout the visible changes, but psychological profiles suggest deeper alterations occur in neural pathways associated with self-recognition and social interaction. Your phone displays 47 hours and 18 minutes remaining until projected exposure. The precision of this countdown troubles you more than its implications. Someone possesses detailed information about your location, your daily routines, and your environmental exposure patterns. The level of surveillance required to maintain such accuracy suggests resources far beyond what any single research facility could deploy. Outside your window, the street appears normal. Neighbors continue their evening activities, unaware of the calculated progression moving toward your geographic coordinates. The ordinariness of your surroundings contrasts sharply with the clinical horror described in the documentation. Yet you notice subtle changes. Dogs in the neighborhood have begun exhibiting heightened alertness during specific time windows, their attention focused on atmospheric disturbances imperceptible to human senses. The transmission updates